They'll be born cursed, all of them, along with their children. And their children's children. For all time to come. No. I am the Dung Eater. I am.
Oh. What are you doing here? Oh. Wait, you got it. What made you go and do a thing like that? My mum was a seamstress, and that sewing kit was all I had to remember her by. I always wanted to be just like sweet old mum. Then I suppose I can't just curl up and die, can I? Thank you. You're very kind. I always wanted to be a seamster like my mum. Then I suppose I...
What else do I need to do before killing Morgoth? Pretty sure I've done everything. Oh, yeah, magic scorpion talisman. That's right.
Ah, so you made Nepheli drink the potion.
I did.
Well done. You are a touch more useful than I had thought. Very well. Then you shall have your gift. Knowledge of the sorcerous arts under the tutelage of the great preceptor Selvis. I doubt much of it will lay within the grasp of a mere tarnished, but if you put your mind to it, perhaps you won't embarrass Our Lady. You wish to begin right this moment? Well... So, you had Nepheli drink the potion? Truly? It's concocted from the finest ingredients, but I may have expected too much of her to begin with.
It's too expensive. Need more money. Invaded by Bleeder. That's kind of scary.
Hey!
I need to go find his chambers, his secret chambers. So here, I think. Ooh, instant firefly. Should be this one, I think. So Lucas's puppet, don't touch. Okay. Fair enough. Let's get back to Celibus. Should have new dialogue. Do I have enough Starlight shards? I'm worried I don't. I only have 2. I need to get more. I'll have to kill this guy so I can teleport. Because, well, I mean, I guess I could run all the way there, but man, there's a lot of running I'd have to do. We'll just wait until they're done fighting. Well done. Okay, so there should be one over here somewhere. There's a few. There's a lot. Let's get the ones in Limgrave first. I think I actually used one already on this build, so I might be one short. I think I used one Starlight Shard out of desperation. There it is. And there's a few over in Kaled. Be one over by Fort Pharaoh. Go south. And I can't get down here without... oh, I guess I could. There's a route there that I can jump down from. A bit worried that since I've been invaded, I can't get down. I should be able to drop down here, right? Sketch. Oh, no. Outside of multiplayer boundaries, alright. Fortunate. So I'm just hanging around up on this rock, maybe. Ooh! Dragon. I don't want to fight you, dragon. We'll have an epic duel atop this tower. Eat a crab. Can we get up here? Ooh. Bloodhound step, huh? Won't save you from errands. Oh, I missed. Oh, that's bad. Oh, he doesn't do a whole lot of damage though. Oh, this thing is so hard to aim. I swear. Okay. Go back to our bow. Ah! Gotta respect the greatsword. Where's the other invader? Ah, he's right there. He's having trouble getting up here though. Said he does have a bleed bloodhound thing. I normally don't do 2v1s, but I do really want to just get the Starlight Shard so I can go do the DLC. Unlock like the forbidden consecrated snowfield, etc. Oh, he's gonna fall. Well fought. Well fought. Sorry for the 2v1. I do want to go down there. Where's the other guy? Oh, here he is. He lost his health from... Oh, fine. Alright, I gotta try my contours just so I can go down. I've been invaded again. I may have been invaded again. It's like it. It's a pretty chill place to hang out, actually. Wish it wasn't raining all the time, though. Ah, okay. We can go now. For what? dismounted for no reason. What? Okay, let's go turn off multi-throw finger, maybe. That helps. Okay, maybe I'm just like permanently stuck up here. Forever. What's going on? It's multiplayer bugged. Teleport to Celia Hideaway. Alright, we just turn around and go out. We should be down there. Let's just go grab all the Starlight Shards first, and then we'll try and pull PvP after that. Otherwise, it's gonna be a bit of a hassle. Ooh, you gonna kill me? Okay, just need one more. Question is where, because I think I've used one already. Let's see. Oh yeah, there should be one up here. I don't know, maybe this is the one I used next to Gronk. If it is, then I'm gonna have to figure out where I can find another one. Disappointing. So close and yet so far. Yeah, this is the one I used, I think. Alright. I have to figure out where to get one more Starlight Shard. I think there's one over here, right? There's like a mini boss. And then next to the mini boss is a Starlight Shard, possibly? Unless my memory's wrong. Ooh, is this gonna be death? No. Ooh. Here's the mini boss. I thought there's another Starlight Shard down here. Maybe. I remember wrong. Okay, it's not here. Dragon wants to fight me. I do not want to fight it. Let's go. Let's just teleport for now, just so we can get out of the aggro radius. Let's go look it up. Oh, there should be one over here, yeah. Um, that's a crater pocked glade, I think. I think there's one on the cliff here. North of here. Yeah, this is the one I usually get in case I'm missing one from my usual sources. Oh wait, no. This is like smithing stone. Oh, starlight shard. No, it's stone sword key. Ah, wait, no, it's south of here, okay. Whoa, that's scary. Alright, we have enough. Back to Preceptor Syllabus.
Begging for another. You break your fish fine and you trick me. I believe that you yearn. Well, but perhaps now.
Let's go get your maiden. Could be useful having a healer. I think you're just supposed to buy one of these. We'll go buy this one because it's the cheapest. And then reload the area.
Begging for the remain.
Oh, maybe I have to study more.
How's the thing of it? Begging the remain.
Okay, let's go try reloading again. This doesn't work, I have to buy all of his sorceries, which is gonna be a lot of runes. I have to go farm them.
Begging the What's
There we
that? Quite the key. But I'm afraid I can. Oh dear. Why don't if you the soul of it and once? Oh yes.
Okay, I'll eat her.
You prove I've not had. Begging for the perhaps it will prove which I is employed. Ah, you're just then. I'd rather with
I think I already have the Starlight Shard. Yeah.
Well, the bliss could be to think my. Yes, I please.
There we go. Nice, finally. Magic Scorpion Charm. Okay. We'll go reload.
It's fine. Give it.
We
The
have the
dead-eyed,
draft.
for she might. You that once, and we just.
You'll get the sword. We'll toggle the Thunder's Tongue once we're in the area. Otherwise, I'll be like, I can be like stuck down there, and then the invader can just stand up here without going down. Then I have to force quit. That's happened before to a host. When I was summoned as a blue. Okay. Do it in here. Oh wait, let's just... Man, I need like roped fire pot or something. Minecraft? No. Free aim? The angle's not right. I can't aim low enough. I can't aim low enough. Can you just do this? Oh, I can like free aim. What the fuck? That's hitting it. That's not doing any damage. Oh my god, really? Really? Do I have a tool or something that I can use? Oh, okay. I have something that'll work. I hope. Oh, maybe not. Let's go do alt fire. Oh, okay. I mean, you'd think that ain't low enough, but it doesn't. Let's go try doing this. Putting the pillar there. Oh. You could just jump down. There we go. Doesn't aggro the other two though, unfortunately. They have a waste of runes there. I'm just gonna go down. What was that? Ah! So many freaking. Poor Glaive. This is a bit scary. I should stop doing charged heavies with martial arts. It moves me too far. I die from gravity instead of invaders at this rate. Is he blocking with his torch? God damn. Is that everything? I think that's everything, right? Looks like it. Sec. My guy broke the AI. Yeah, that's weird. Sometimes like AI, it breaks when you attack them on stairs. I've noticed. Not exactly sure what that's all about. Am I one-handed?
Hey!
Hey!
You wanna fight the hunter? He's looking in his inventory for a poison bolus. That's what he's doing. I have a poison bolus. Oh! Consumable. Okay, I'll let him fight the hunter. We have another hunter on the way. Man, hunters spawn in so fast. Oh! You wanna fight me or does he want to fight the other hunter? It's like endless hunters though. Maybe another invader will spawn in. I'm saying it's pretty good at these levels. Not gonna lie. Or at least like not many people are good at. Oh, okay. Calm down. Oh, we have a few now. Oh, might be in trouble. roll catches, gotta say. Oh, stairs. Go this way. Get a cheeky heal in. Oh yeah, Shamshir, okay. Oh, he's dropping and preserving boluses. It's cheating. Ah, well played, well played. Oh, I might be running out of arrows. Whoa. Healing tier, huh? Jesus, the aggression. I'm stuck. That was scary. That Shamshir is scary, man. Well played, well played. Okay, I gotta turn this off. I do want to do the boss eventually. Alright. Well, let's go see if I can defeat myself. Hopefully that shouldn't be too hard. Unless I get hit with the rot pot too many times. That's gonna suck, man, the rot pot. But let's go honor duel the mimic tier. Oh, he doesn't have the he doesn't have dragon form. He had the same idea, get with the poison first. Unfortunately, he doesn't know how to dodge. That suck. Oh my god, there's just so much bleed buildup, what the fuck? Switch the bleed, actually. Oh, he has martial arts too, I forgot about that. That's pretty scary. Oh my god. What a toxic build, man. This guy sucks. He's healing. My heal sucks though. How's he dodging that? Yeah, I think he's dead. Well played, well played. To be fair, he didn't have dragon form, so it's kind of nerfed, like a nerfed version of me. The Mimic here doesn't know how to use the rock heart. Level up a bit. I'm a little bit underleveled. It's more vigor. Actually, let's go do the soft caps for the weapons here. Get 20 strength index. And then maybe some mind and faith. Or spells. Is it rock? Is there a rock? His friend's body blocking him. Might as well like these. I usually never do this. Be fun to do. Just because I don't really need anything the ancestral spirit gives. AFK. Why don't we just like crouch here when they see us? Okay, hold on. Mimic veil. Do I have it? Is it? I have it, right? I have to have it. I don't have the mimic veil. Really? Seriously? Disappointing. That would have been a good time. Doesn't seem like he knows where I am. Each, I guess. Oh, why? Why? Maybe he couldn't find me. Wow, that takes a lot of bleed arrows or bleed proc. It's actually a crazy amount of invaders. Or not invaders, hunters. I mean, it's. I want to say Tits McGee. That sounds like what the censored part is. It's not long enough. It's not long enough to be tits. Oh, he's just doing the quest. He's just doing the quest. Shit, it scared the fuck out of me. Like, did I get invaded again? By a bow build? It was just the freaking dude over here. Ow, what the fuck? Ooh, look at that. First try, let's go. I wish I could wear that in dragon form. That would be like the best. I'll have like antlers on my dragon. Pretty sick, yo. Called Cancer, the boss. Oh fuck. is it? I'm gonna switch over to sculpting after I'm done clearing out this area. We've been invaded by Phil. Enchanted shot. It's like a worse version of Rancor shot. Well, actually, you know, it'd be pretty good on longbows. I had some fun using enchanted shot before the bone bow came out. That was actually not that bad. Oh, Phil just got one shot, or jumped off a cliff or something. Okay, let's go over here. We'll go grab this. This tool. Ancestral horn. Ooh, what's going on over there? Holy crap. Are they fighting the the NPCs? Those guys do a lot of damage, to be fair. Do we get invaded again? Just didn't notice. How am I in combat? What? Invader? These guys don't know how to dodge. They don't have the dodge AI. Alright, that's basically it. I'm gonna stop playing here and let's get over to sculpting. It's been an hour. Take a short break here to get up and stretch. And I'll be back in a sec.
I don't know what's going on with Apex, by the way. Like, I don't know what's going on with Apex, by the way. Like, apparently people are fucking furious about this game. I had no idea.
So a few days back, I talked about Apex Legends and the change that they made to the Battle Pass recently, which they advertise as something that they did based on community feedback. But what they did in reality was essentially take the Battle Pass, split it into two, and charge the same price as you would for a full Battle Pass for each half, effectively doubling the price. They announced this via an update here. Now, there is an edit that highlights the walkback that they did on this. We'll get to that in a minute. But the initial announcement basically said that they're going to have a shorter battle pass with one for each split, revamped rewards, and purchase with IRL currency with a new cost for premium plus.
Can I have an opinion that might get me in trouble? Is that I think that battle passes are stupid, and I've never been influenced to play a game based off of a battle pass before. Like, if I'm playing a competitive game, I don't really think about anything other than the competitive aspect of that game. That's all I'm thinking about. I'm only thinking about being competitive in the game. I don't care about skins. Yeah. I just never even think about this.
And the main thing that really kickstarted the backlash was the removal of the ability to use Apex coins, the in-game currency, or the premium currency, to buy the season pass. Usually,
yeah, they're down bad for money and they're trying to make more money. That's what's going on here. Yeah, because like you can't go around it. You have to spend money. That's what's going on. Yep.
You can earn your way through gameplay by playing the game. You can earn your way towards the next battle pass by playing the game. They completely removed that ability and forced players to shell out real world money. And they removed the capability to essentially be rewarded for your time engaging with the game to earn the next battle pass and reward you for staying engaged with the game. And that pissed a lot of people off.
Yeah, I bet
this
it did.
right here is the chart that highlights the old versus the new model. So they have this new
every half season. Wait, what? So they literally called it a half season? Why would you even do this? Like, this is the worst infographic that you could make, because like if you look at this, this is like an infographic of like, this is halfway through the video that's called The Downfall of Apex Legends. They paid somebody to do this? So stupid. It just makes it look like a fucking scam.
Model, and then they had this new premium model that no longer allowed you to spend 950 Apex coins to purchase it, but rather it's $10 per every half season. And then they introduced a premium plus that instead of allowing you to use 2,800 Apex coins to potentially earn your way to attaining this particular battle pass, you're forced to pay $20. And so it just felt incredibly stingy and incredibly scummy to do that to a community that has been supporting this game. And look, I get that it's a free-to-play game and that it needs to make its money and whatever, but
I don't think it's really a big deal, but it's still cheesy to do, right? I mean, it's like, if I was an Apex player, I would be like, oh, this sucks. Like, I probably wouldn't quit playing the game, but I would just be like, this sucks.
That's it. Effectively double, and to remove any sort of gameplay path towards earning those battle passes. It was obvious that that wouldn't sit well with people. And of course, the backlash was intense and immediate. People called it out for what it is. Instead of making the battle pass longer and charge a little more, they cut it in half and charge double by charging full price for each half. And the backlash on Reddit was immediate. So basically pay $10 twice a season instead of being able to continue buying battle passes every season with a one-time purchase.
Man, like, when people are going to be tired of eating these dicks? When's this going to happen? I feel like we're overdue. We're overdue for a revolution. How many of these fucking battle passes we going to have? It's like, if you want to have one, like, this is, to me, you know what I think is the craziest shit about battle passes? Is that some of them expire. Why does a battle pass expire? I tell you why. It's because people are addicted to eating dicks. And that's what happens. There is no reason that it should be like that. There is no purpose. This live service bullshit. That's what it is. And I wish people would wake up and say, I'm full. I'm tired, boss. But they just don't. How much is going to be too much? Stop it. Stop buying this shit. If you want to support the game, great. Go ahead and do it. But every game being built around this is crazy. That's why I stopped buying them in Genshin. It's like, at least like I would buy one in like a pay-to-win game because they give you the pay-to-win resources. So it's like it's like, for example, if you go into Las Vegas Casino and you're like, man, there sure is a lot of gambling here. This is fucked up. Like, I think that you're a fucking retard, right? Because why are you being there? But if you go and you're playing another game, you go to a church, there shouldn't be a slot machine at a church. Shouldn't be a slot machine at like an arcade for kids. So I think the problem really is that that these battle passes are so ubiquitous, and it's in every game. And in the pay-to-win games, like I said, I actually don't care. I leave my dignity at the door when I play a pay-to-win game. And by the way, we all do. It's not like, oh, I don't spend money. I'm better. I don't do that. I play free-to-play and I can keep up with the whales. Number one, no, you can't. Number two, you playing 13 hours a day to keep up with somebody who spends $1,000 a week and they just completely blow by you, this is not the win that you think it is. Anybody who takes pride in being free to play in a pay-to-win game, this is the 9th circle of hell for dick eating. You know that you're being handicapped. You know that you're being fucked around. You know that you're being held back arbitrarily, but you keep playing and you keep fighting. It's like Sisyphus rolling the fucking boulder, except instead of a boulder, it's just a gotcha machine full of anime girls. It's pathetic. Anytime I see somebody going, and please, I never want to see again anybody respecting anybody for being free to play in these games. Never respect somebody, because you know who doesn't respect them? They don't. They don't respect themselves. You want to be free to play in a game? Play Elden Ring. Play Baldur's Gate 3. Play Hollow Knight.
In what world is this better for players? And that's the thing. They said in their announcement of this that this is all about making the experience better.
It's like they go, sorry, I'm not done. They go and they cut down a tree and then they sand down the wood. They cut it into blocks. They put it up in a cross. They nail themselves up on the cross. I don't know how you would do this, but they do that. They nail themselves up on the cross and they say, look at me. Look, I'm still standing. I'm still here. I'm still surviving. No, you're not. You nailed your ass up to a cross, you a bitch.
For players, which is complete and utter bullshit. And it is the audacity to act like, you know, that they didn't expect the backlash and that they did this for the community and not for the financial expansion of the game. That gets me. It's that feigning of ignorance of like, oh, wow, I had no idea this would happen. We're so sorry. We're listening now. But it's like if you were actively listening, you'd know to not even try something like this in the first place. So a lot of people uninstalled the game and said I'm out, so on and so forth. The game is dead to me, on top of the fact that the game just has a lot of technical issues.
That's the real problem, right? Is like, you want to know the leagues that have a lot of drama and PoE? It's the leagues where the servers are down. Like, think about Settlers of the Calgar, or whatever the fuck the new one is called. There's no drama. You want to know why? It's because the servers didn't go down. There were no, like, broken mobs. There's no, like, weird Arch Nemesis mobs that are, like, invulnerable, right? So everyone's playing it, right? Everybody's playing the game. So like if the game doesn't work, that's whenever you see everybody's going around. I hate YouTubers. I hate streamers. Chris ruined it again. Oh, I can't believe this. I'm out. I'm done. I'm going back to Diablo. But like if they're in the game, they don't have time to do that. And this is the same thing that happens with Apex or any of these other games. This is why Blizzard had that shit happen with the sexual harassment lawsuit. You think anybody actually gave a fuck about that sexual harassment lawsuit? Absolutely not. These are the people that say, oh, I hate Blizzard, then they go play a Riot game. Riot had the same thing happen. Then they go play a Ubisoft game. It had the same thing happen. Plenty of these companies had this same shit happen because this company is full of a bunch of weirdos, right? It's over 15 years. This is weirdos. And so they don't really give a shit about it. But the fact that the game is bad, then it's enough to just take it over the edge. That's the reason.
And a lot of cheaters and all these things that make the game not quite as playable as it should be for a lot of people. And so, yeah, eventually people organized ways to protest. A lot of people also theorized that the reason this is happening is because the player numbers surrounding Apex Legends are starting to peak and kind of dive a little bit. And so this is Apex Legends. This is to peak and kind of dive a little bit. And so this is Apex Legends. This is Respawn and EA's attempt to essentially charge more to existing players to make up for the declining player base.
Yeah.
And so eventually what happened was that we started to see a mass flood of negative reviews on Steam.
Thank God.
It started with over 30,000 negative reviews. Eventually it got to a point where over 70,000
7% are positive. Oh my God.
negative reviews brought the recent review score down to overwhelmingly negative at 7%. 7% of 76,872 is a little over 70,000 negative reviews, 70,000 thumbs down. So a huge flood of people completely just disillusioned by Respawn even attempting to pull something like this, and understandably so. And this is ahead of an esports World Cup event, so that wasn't ideal. The Apex Legends community just plummeted in their...
I feel like Apex isn't, like, it's a good game in a lot of ways, but I don't really think it's that great. Like, I think Warzone, like, release Warzone was better. I think Fortnite's better. Like, it's not that I don't like Apex. I think Apex is good, but there's also like a legibility problem where I just feel like I can never understand what the fuck's happening in Apex.
Optics and perception of the game, if this is kind of what we can expect in the future. And so with all that backlash coming EA and Respawn's way, they decided to walk it back just a little. This, ladies and gentlemen, is once again the 2 steps forward, 1 step back maneuver, where they ultimately did push the goalpost of egregious monetization forward a little bit. So the one aspect that they did walk back, as stated here in an update on our new Battle Pass.
You know what's funny? Whenever I ever see white text on a black background like this, is I know that somebody's going to add this to the mural of, like, video game apologies. Bro, like, pretty soon that picture is going to get so big that you're not even going to be able to read all of them anymore. But, like, you can just look at them and be like, oh, I know what this one is. Oh, that's the one from the Gollum game. Oh, yeah. Remember that?
Reads this tweet published at 10 a.m. on July 24th, 2024. It reads right here, "You've spoken and we have listened." Like, I'm tired of this "we have listened" statement. Because you've listened so many times at this point. If you had listened, then this wouldn't be happening at all.
I feel like if they had just come out and be like, guys, we're trying to make some money on this shit, so, like, because we need to make some money. Yeah, and so we had to up the price. Now, y'all don't like it, so we're going to take it down a bit, but, like, we got to do it at least a little bit, though, right? That's just the way it is. Sorry. Then I think people would be like, all right. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know in what universe it is believed that this would have been something that would have been positively received. There's no multiverse out there where this is something that people accept as something that, oh man, they really did it for us. The statement continues, "With the release of Season 22, we will restore the ability to get the Premium Battle Pass for 950 Apex coins." That was the main point of contention, and the fact that they're restoring that is definitely a good thing, but they haven't walked back everything. They say right here, "We recognize that we could have handled the Battle Pass changes better. That's on us." It's this, again, the feigning of like, oh, we think of it retroactively and we realize we were wrong about this. You knew this was wrong. We didn't expect the backlash is A5 Wagyu bullshit. It's the continuous attempt to treat the community like they're stupid and like they don't realize what...
Yeah, whoa, we did, you really gone and think and fucking do this shit. Like, yeah, absolutely. Like, just be honest.
Really went on here in the development and planning of this new monetization tactic of essentially doubling the price of the Battle Pass and not allowing you to earn those Battle Passes through gameplay. That particularly gets me. This continues. It's our intention to improve the overall value and experience across our Battle Pass offerings. For a summary of the updated Battle Pass offerings, starting with Season 22 Split 2 on September 17th, please check out the infographic. Here's what we'd like you to know. So here are the bullet points. With the launch of Season 22 on August 6th through Split 1, so the first half of this Battle Pass, we want to give you an opportunity to get the Premium Battle Pass. You can unlock it by completing a series of simple in-game challenges. Starting with Split 2 on September 17th, you can get the Premium Battle Passes the same way as before by using 950 Apex coins. You'll be able to earn enough Apex coins via the Battle Pass to get future passes.
I also want to say that although I think this is stupid, the only thing stupider than this is like actually giving a shit about this. It's all just cosmetic bullshit. It's just cosmetics. It's a free game. No, I get it. But like my energy for this is quite minimal.
Finally, the Battle Pass options now include better rewards, and with the retuned Battle Pass challenges, it'll be faster to complete at only 60 levels. And they did also emphasize, given people have been highlighting the fact that they're doubling the price of Battle Pass, or attempted to, before they kind of walked aspects of it back. People highlighted the fact that the game just isn't in a technically sound enough state to justify the extra charges that they're trying to impose upon players. So they did address that your priorities are our priorities. Cheaters, game stability, and quality of life updates.
See, nobody would have given a shit about this Battle Pass thing if the game was as good as it was when it came out, you know, minus like a few like problems. People only are mad about this probably because the game is problematic. It's like you like a player graph that goes like this. Do you think this is because of a Battle Pass? Fuck no, it's not because of a Battle Pass. It's because the game.
Have been criticizing the game for are at the top of their mind. They said we need to get better, and it's why we're acknowledging them here. So at least an acknowledgement is something.
Yeah.
But obviously actions will speak louder than words.
They always do.
And so here's the new chart for what the Battle Pass looks like. You can see right here that they did add some new tiers, though. So you got the premium one that is 950 Apex coins. You can
see, this is smart. They got the smart guy to do this one, because now they're not showing the old stuff, right? They're not showing what you used to have, because it's like, hey, we're taking this away from you. Now you don't have a frame for this. You just look at it directly. This is smart.
Play the game and earn the currency by playing. You can play your way towards attaining this particular Battle Pass here. But then you got Ultimate and Ultimate Plus. Those you cannot earn through gameplay. Those will be charging real-world currency. So they did still move the goalpost a little bit. Recall that back in the day, you could, in fact, buy, say, like this premium bundle, which is a more expensive Battle Pass compared to the premium.
Am I crazy for thinking that's fine? Like, I've been a fan of subscription games like WoW or Final Fantasy, and I think that's the best way to do a model like this. And I think that if you look at it abstractly, Battle Passes function like a subscription. So I don't really see a problem with it. I think the problem is the FOMO that they add. And the fact that every game has them now. I'm tired of the it's a free game race to the bottom line. What do you think? I mean, they just don't play it, right? I mean, like what do you mean you're tired of it? Like, I mean, then how are they going to make any money? Like, they have to make money somehow, right? I mean, fuck. They even fooled you. Now it's reasonable. Let me pull out my card and encourage them not to fix the problems of their game. Well, they didn't really fool me. Like, I mean, if the game has problems, then that's a different problem to me. But, like, I mean, if people aren't happy with the Battle Pass, that's something totally different. Yeah, I mean, that's it. Free-to-play just shouldn't exist anyways. Why? Like, why it shouldn't exist? That seems that's a bit much, don't you think?
Or, you know, 2,800 Apex coins instead of having to pay $20. That option still no longer exists for the Ultimate and Ultimate Plus tiers. And yeah, maybe they offer a few more things here and there, but they are trying to work towards removing the ability for players to earn things via gameplay. They're slowly inching their way towards that. As for what Ultimate and Ultimate Plus offer, the Battle Pass tiers that you do have to spend real currency on that.
Like, I'm just never going to have like a degree of like a high degree of outrage for a game that, if it's a free-to-play game, like, because like in WoW, for example, You buy the fucking game, you buy the expansions, and you pay a sub. Fuck you for trying to make me buy a mount. Suck my fucking dick. However, I didn't buy an expansion for Apex. I didn't buy the base game. I'm not paying a subscription. Okay, it's fine. Who cares?
Premium doesn't, the one that you can use Apex coins for. IGN summarized it pretty well here. Ultimate costs $10 and cannot be purchased with Apex coins. It gives players all the premium rewards and additional instant unlock of 8 Apex packs and 1,200 crafting materials. And you got Ultimate Plus. You
cares?
get double the exotic shards, 2 exclusive legendary skin variants, 8 Apex packs, 1,200 crafting materials, 10 battle pass level unlocks, and the unlocking of every legend in the game. It costs $20 and also cannot be purchased with Apex coins. Now, on top of covering the slight walkback that Respawn and EA did for the Apex Legends Battle Pass changes, IGN also did interview Respawn about the situation, asking why did you make the Battle Pass changes. The response from Ferreira was it was hard to grind through the Battle Pass over 90 days. They weren't engaging with it.
Why not let people grind for it after the 90 days? Like, this is the issue that I think a lot of people have with conversations like this, is that there is a presupposition of something that's not real. There is no reason why you can't just keep progressing the Battle Pass after the Battle Pass is over. This is an imagined and a fabricated problem. You invented this problem. It's not like there's some kind of like fucking, you know, like for example, like you've got gravity. It's like, why can't a ball always be up in the air? Well, there's gravity. Well, there's no reason why this fucking battle pass can't exist forever.
Weren't engaging with it in that time, and they were engaging for a lot shorter amount of time. You can still unlock the equivalent amount of cool content and stuff, but you can do it inside of 45 days instead of 90. You can get a faster and a better pacing and cadence of engagement with the Battle Pass over 45 days versus 90. What we saw in the data was that the majority of players were not unlocking everything that we had in the Battle Pass in that time, in the 90 days. So they wanted to just pace the Battle Pass better. But if that was the only intention, then why did you effectively double the price of these Battle Passes by charging full price for each half?
Am I crazy the way I think about this? Because like all this is made up. They just made all this up. This is not a real problem. This is a problem that you created. Like, I don't even understand this. Why don't you just make the, like, you either just have it, like, if people don't finish it, have it give less experience. There's no law that says it has to be, you need 1,000 experience to get a level, or 500, or whatever it is. You made all this up. It's like you created a box to put yourself in, and then you say, I can't get out of the box, guys. Yeah, you can. Just move.
Instead of charging half for each half. And why did you remove the ability for players to use the Apex coins to be able to play their way towards earning those battle passes? If you wanted to make the experience better, then you would have made the pacing changes by doing the split, but only charge half for each half, and you would have still allowed for premium currency spending. Clearly, there were monetization and financial goals involved as well that, you know, essentially try to take advantage of players' goodwill and charge more and punish players for their loyalty towards the game by just completely devaluing the battle passes. Now, when asked if this was something that EA pushed for, Respawn said, or Ferreira said, no, that was something that we designed. Well, I'm sure EA didn't protest when the changes were proposed, when EA realized that effectively doubling the price of battle pass. I'm sure EA was like, ooh, yes, now you're thinking like us. But apparently it was ultimately Respawn's design, this whole situation, and it's just disappointing to see that they would remotely think.
Somebody says Valorant doesn't have any free-to stuff, and then people don't complain about it. The reason why is because Valorant is probably good. Like, all of this is probably just a fucking, it's like a proxy war for, like, cheaters in the game, or, like, game balance. Like, this is, it's like you have a bad relationship with somebody, and, like, they're pissing you off all the time, they're getting on your nerves, and then they leave a drink on a table, and then they don't put a coaster underneath it, so it leaves a ring on the wooden table, and then you blow up on them about that, or they blow up on you about it. And it's really not about the coaster, but it's like the coaster was like the last straw. I think that's what's going on with this too, right? Like, I've used this example before, where it's like, it's not really about this, but it's about everything that led up to this being an issue.
this would be received well by the community, or that they would remotely even attempt
As a
something
catalyst,
like this.
yeah.
Like I feel like they're not stupid. Like they know, they knew on some level there'd be some backlash.
I think that's another reason why people don't like it, is that they don't like the fact that it's like the intellectual dishonesty and the insult to the intelligence of the user.
Tried anyway. They wanted to test the waters to see how much they could get away with. And just that kind of tactic and maneuvering is just kind of scummy, man. Like, I don't know what else to say. That's a general sentiment we're seeing. So here's somebody on Reddit responding to the walk back, saying this feels like it was planned from the start. See what you can get away with, and then partially walk back changes to positive press while the major changes still go through. The pass overall is still more time consuming, less levels for the same amount in coins you paid before, and the ultimate tier, which has the stuff people care about, still costs real money.
Who knows?
This doesn't feel like much of a win. This, I would have to agree with. A lot of people are like, oh, thank you, Respawn, for listening. I'm like, I don't think they fully listened. They just compromised a little bit, but still made some strides in making their monetization model slightly more egregious. And that's how we move the goalpost slowly until one day, years later, when you look back at all of the strides that they've made inch by inch, you look back and realize, holy shit, now we've moved like a mile forward, and monetization is much worse than it was.
He's right about this. In 5 years, like, think about how much more normalized pay to win is now in like like today versus 5 years ago. Like, before Genshin Impact, pay to win in games was like a death sentence, and now it's a feature. It's been big.
A couple years ago, and it feels like that's where we're moving towards.
People
and
eat it up,
if this becomes
Dick eaters,
normalized
man.
and accepted, then
Just
guess
dick
what?
eaters.
They're gonna keep trying to push the boundaries, trying to monetize this game more and more to make up for the fact that they have capped out in terms of the growth of the player base. But yeah, that's kind of what you need to know about the current developments surrounding Apex Legends, the Battle Pass changes, some of the walkbacks that EA and Respawn did, and why, to me, and I think for a lot of people, it's not enough of a walk back, and the fact that you still need a freaking chart to make sense of this shit is just like it's such a pain in the ass to play live service games these days. That's my take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the changes surrounding Apex Legends, the Battle Pass, what they try to do initially versus what they're doing now. Do you think they've walked it back enough where this is acceptable? Or are you more sort of in my camp where, again, I believe that this is not enough of a walk back, and they have succeeded in pushing.
I'm going to be honest. I think it's totally fine. I do. Like, fix the game, make the game good. Nobody's going to care about this. It's lame. Yeah, of course. I think the only problem about it is, like, the dishonesty of, oh, we care. We're listening. Oh, nah, you just want to make more money. Like, I get it, right? I get it. But, like, you can be more honest. And I think people just don't like getting the runaround, right? They don't like getting goofed around for shit.
The boundaries forward of
it's annoying.
What they can get away with. Share your thoughts in the comments
like
below.
it's
to be further
gaslighting,
updated
exactly.
on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.
Well, I agree. I do. It's stupid that they did this, but I really just can't. I can't get mad because it's a free-to-play game. Who gives a fuck, man? I can't spend energy to even care about this on a free-to-play game. Yeah, exactly. Why not? If the battle pass is 100 V-Bucks and it's 100 tier, they refund you 100 V-Bucks. I just, like, I don't care about a refund or anything like that. I just think it's silly, man. I think that, like, what I have a problem with the battle passes for is that it's the dishonesty. Like, you guys can probably tell this about me. Like, I hate whenever people try to give you the runaround and fuck you around and like gaslight you. Like, if the problem is that the battle pass is too long, then why not just make it shorter? Why not make the levels shorter? Because, like, that's the logical solution, but you're not doing that because the goal actually isn't to make the battle pass good, it's to make money. So just say that. Just be like, listen, like, we got more costs. We're trying to do things with the game, and, like, it is what it is, right? But to try to turn it into something that's, like, in your best interest, it's insulting, right? It's insulting to your intelligence. It's fucking annoying. I'll be right back. How many men are really incels?
Have you ever loved somebody and they broke your heart?
Trying to fix my widow's peak and cut in a new hairline. Do you think it works? Damn, bro. Oh, God.
Millions of people have been
Fuck is this video?
asking me, "Hey Gerbert, why are you always talking about all this incel stuff? What, do you not have any bitches?" Here's the thing about this question. It's a very interesting question, in that no one ever seems to ponder the possibility that maybe it's that don't have me. Anyways, I decided to talk to a dating therapist to see if I can find a good match.
I don't know, man. I feel like I'm a decently handsome guy. I try to put in effort to my appearance. I work out, whatever. It's just, I don't really know where to start, you know, where to meet girls. I'm just struggling.
Tell me about what kind of girls you're going after. Like, what are you looking for in a woman?
Mixed Asian, half white, half Asian. Big under thighs. Bow! Nice rack. Bing bang. Big tit. Tall. Like, taller than me, 6 foot tall. 130 plus IQ. 32-inch vertical. No tattoos.
He's just like, yeah.
Virgin. Did I say big? I said big rack, right?
You said big racks, yeah.
Yeah, so that's about it.
Women, they date up. So,
man,
what you have to do...
That's a fucked up way of saying no chance.
...is you have to schizophrenia and bipolar disorder.
Yeah.
The type of woman that you want has to have either 2 or 3 of these mental disorders. Everyone with auras, they have a roster. And in order to create a roster, you need to pray after mentally disabled women. Let's be real. You're white. You're pasty. You are milk. You are vanilla. You have 0 flavor. There is 0 seasoning to you. How to manipulate an autistic woman. And
what the fuck
is
this?
The dark triad comes in, because the dark triad is quite literally black. No, you're not advanced yet for the dark triad bedroom game. When you meet an autistic woman, and this is obviously going to be after you've black maxed, right?
Yeah.
After I have this course, it's going to tell you everything that you need to know about using the dark triad and also the female.
I fucking love this. Is amazing.
Triad that I told you about.
This is so good.
And on top of that, it's going to teach you all the tricks that you need to take advantage of the schizophrenic. The full course is going to be roughly $998.86. It is a big investment, but I need you to feel that investment so that you can be invested in this course.
Ooh, I like that. That sounds good.
You may have seen this general social survey graph from 2018.
I saw it.
But you probably haven't seen the updated version of 2022. The older graph shows that male virginity has supposedly skyrocketed since 2012. But the newer one shows that since then it has plummeted. I, like many other people, even recently, surmised that this was an ongoing trend, only getting worse, especially because it was pre-pandemic. Let's just say the rate of growth was consistent. If we would extend the graph to 2022, the number would be around 38%.
That'd be a lot.
But we're coming to find out that maybe it was just a blip. Bald head bitch. Is this whole idea of an ever-growing incel population, women only wanting to engage with Chaz, leaving many men to be virgins, some sort of illusion? A way of chronically online men to project their own failures onto a larger societal problem? As the saying goes...
Well, in some cases, yeah, absolutely. Not all the time, but yeah, absolutely that's the case. I didn't know that the graph went down. That's good to know.
Misery loves company.
How'd they get a picture of me?
Is there actually a rising virginity rate? Are more and more men becoming incels? How many incels are there actually? You'll find out in this video.
What the fuck
Be sure to
is
like
that?
and subscribe, lookofthedead.com for merch. How is it that in 2018 the virginity rate was almost 1/3 of all men, but in 2022 it plummeted. That doesn't even make sense post.
It does if you think they're lying. I mean, that's the first thing I would think, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like they would have lied on the first one then, you know?
COVID. Well, the truth is that these general social study surveys have quite a low sample size. Better data sets with over 10 study surveys have quite a low
in his sample size.
Sample
so
size.
150
Better data
people.
sets with over 10 times the sample size show that virginity is steadily increasing very marginally. It's not nearly as sensational as the 2018 graph that
it
went
was
viral.
very
Also,
sensational.
in this graph, the rates between men and women are quite similar and following the same trend. Now, again, these are all surveys. It's not like scientists are running around
This is a great video.
gathering the fiber off of these guys' scrotums to actually prove concretely whether or not they're getting laid. Okay, they could be lying. There could be a Hawthorne effect going on here. But it would be dishonest to say that's what's going on with this newer graph when everybody on the internet took the 2018 General Social Survey graph at complete face value. People will, on the internet, latch on to the most sensational, extreme data there is, even
well, it's
though
also because more people are talking about it too, right? I think that's another big component. Like right now, everybody I think especially back then, people were talking about like incel shit all the time. And so you see people bringing it up on Twitter all the time. It feels like it's everywhere.
it's far from the best.
Yeah.
And then I did the same thing, drawing all these conclusions. And I mean, there is a slight trend
2008
going
was
on,
whenever Wrath
but
of the
it's
Lich King
not that
came out.
crazy. In actuality, you might just be a fucking loser. So are incels valid? I guess it depends. If it's just about getting laid, there are a lot of girls nowadays that aren't too picky with that sort of thing. They're very loosey-goosey. They've been hopping on Ween like a daily routine long before the day they've turned 18. I suppose you could call them, well, I mean, I'm pretty tolerant. I would call them free, expressive, but I've heard them been referred to as dirty whore. Point is, if you just want to have sex, I really don't think that itself is that hard. I don't find it to be a remarkable feat. I don't think you have to be a particularly impressive guy. You know, I hate to say the cliche thing, but I've seen a lot of conventionally unattractive guys have success with getting laid a lot. They're just outgoing. This whole chat.
Yeah, I think that definitely is true to an extent, right? If you're more outgoing, you have a good personality, it's going to give you an advantage. I think it depends, like most guys that say this don't really put a lot of effort into it besides like going on the internet and complaining about not having the opportunity to do it. So I think that definitely does happen. You have to have faith in yourself. Well, I think also like a lot of guys that, because you might think that like girls are like stuck up, but I've seen like girls' DMs before, and a lot of guys, I mean, there's a reason why a lot of girls hate men. And like you can read their DMs, and I'm like, yeah, I can see what I can see where you're coming from. Yeah, this makes sense, for sure. People struggle with confidence, they go indoors. Yeah.
Only thing. It basically all comes from data from online dating, which is a sausage fest that shouldn't be taken seriously. The internet bleeds into real life a little bit, but there are plenty of normal people getting together. If you look at the data honestly, or you could just go outside and see them. So how many incels are there actually? Some people would posit that they don't exist, that any man, if he tries hard enough, can find a partner if he just does the right things.
I think for 9 out of 10 people, that's probably true.
If human sexuality is completely moral and fair and there's no genetic factors involved. There are some people, some true cells, they're called,
what?
In the sort of incel vernacular. Men with autism have a very high chance of being a virgin. I don't think it's really people's place to sit there and gaslight these guys when they're on a fundamentally different social wavelength. So they're valid. Life circumstances do produce genuine incels, but there aren't a lot of them. They're actually relegated to the bottom percentages of men.
Yeah, it's like the bottom 10, 20%. I think that's the case with a lot of people, right? And my friend doesn't look at himself at all. His breast stinks, doesn't look toothpaste. He thinks all women are the problem instead of him. He's 100% an incel. Well, I think that that's really the way it is with a lot of people, is that they like to blame the world for the way that they are, rather than look at what they can do to improve themselves. And I think that's usually what happens, is like somebody doesn't want to improve their situation because that's hard work, but it's real easy to say that, well, I'm being held back because of something that's outside of my control. Like, nobody wants to take accountability for shit. Of course, right? It's easier to just blame somebody else and fix themselves. Yeah, 100%. Hygiene's 90%. I tell you for a fact that's true. Yep.
Not like many people would claim that the bottom 80% of men aren't getting any action whatsoever. Even guys that might consider themselves incels or incel adjacent usually aren't going to be that. I'm not even sure if a lot of self-identified incels are even less attractive than the average guy. There are a select few of true cells, but really for most guys, it is a matter of standards. How low are you willing to go?
That's true. Yeah, all these guys want to date a really hot girl. It's like some guy wants to date some girl that goes to the gym every day. Meanwhile, he never goes to the gym. Well, this seems like a pretty unfair double standard. Yeah, true.
You can go use these apps or go get drunk enough to be sociable and pork a 4. If you haven't, it might sort of eat away at you. Yeah. You might think it's way more impactful and better than it actually is. But if you do it, you realize there's nothing there. It's quite pointless and kind of gross. So I'm not technically involuntarily celibate. And despite what the internet would tell you with cherry-picked bad data, most men aren't. But it's not like these goofy internet words actually mean anything anyways. But does this mean that there are no legitimate gripes? There are no good points?
Well, there's a lot of people on the internet. I think that there's a lot of people that have had a girlfriend before, and they're not really incels, but they had a really bad experience with that girlfriend, so they go online to complain about women. That's what happens a lot. That's what it is, because it's like you have a lot of these guys that are in these communities, and it's not necessarily that they actually hate, or they can't get a girlfriend. It's that they had a girlfriend and they fucking hated her, right? How are they not incels, though? Well, because I feel like if somebody is an incel, it means they can't get a girlfriend. It implies like incel is involuntarily celibate. So if they say, I broke up with this bitch because she's crazy or she's awful, then they're not necessarily celibate. They just don't have a girlfriend. Right? That's it. And also, like, make more money, be in shape. Yeah, that's definitely a good idea.
Raised by these guys. Is dating today completely fine and you're just a loser if you have problems with it? I suppose it would be fair to call me an incel, because when I look at postmodern dating, when I look at the state of relationships today, I do hate it. I do despise almost everything that I see. I think it's deeply twisted and all fucked up. Allow me to define my parameters for a successful relationship. The longest running...
See, to me, that's where I'm at, right? Whereas, like, I don't even really know, like... I mean, a lot of my friends don't... I don't really talk to a lot of my friends about that. Like, I know I have friends that have, like, the same girlfriend, or they've been married, like, 10 years, right? So I'm not even sure what it's like if you're, like, 21 or something like that. But I bet, like, with social media and everything, that shit's going to be crazy.
Study of human happiness is quite thorough. It's been going on for 70-something years, studying the same sample group. Frequently, There are check-ins. They don't just give these people surveys. They do blood work, brain scans, test every measure of their mental and physical health, which are correlated. What did they find, you ask? Well, people with close personal relationships. Now, the original study group is old now. This is almost always supplied by their life partner, their marriage. People with strong, close personal relationships, by every metric, were better off. Physically, mentally, they felt less physical pain. And with their...
because you're not thinking about it. Like, I mean, that's really the reality. Like, everybody knows this. Like, for me, for example, like, I have a situation where, like, I have a headache or something's bothering me, and I go live, and I'm not thinking about my stomach bothering me or something like that, because now I'm thinking about the stream. I'm thinking about doing something else. Like, you know, how many of you guys, like, you're driving, and, like, you just forget about whatever it was because you're busy? Yeah, they just keep them busy. Exactly.
Old age, in feeling this physical pain, they felt less demoralized by the pain. Having a strong relationship, especially as you get older, your body gets weaker, it's quite important for your happiness. According to the longest running study.
Well, I mean, you don't need a study to tell you this. I mean, the study makes sure people are like sure of it, but like anybody could have told you this. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, do a chat poll? No, I'm saying like that's it.
Of human happiness. So with that being said, a successful relationship
makes sense.
Is a lifelong bond with children, most likely sanctioned by marriage. So, what are the chances of this relationship happening? For me,
that's a pretty good sex doll, you know? I feel like this is one of the higher quality ones.
For anyone like me. By the way, I use relationship in quotes.
Oh, it is.
Because that's a new term. It used to just be, oh, there's a girl, we're married. If you think about the term, it's extremely vague. It doesn't actually mean anything. We're in a relationship. And now it's gotten even more vague with a situationship. It doesn't even...
Oh my God.
The relationship is already vague. Now it's a situationship.
Any girl that uses the word situationship is a hoe. Like, that's just the way it is. Everybody knows that.
What the fuck are you even talking about? So how many so-called relationships succeed? Besides all this Chad lookism kind of goofy shit, this is the real black pill. There are two endings to a relationship: breakup and marriage. As high as 85% of dating ends in breakups. 85% of people will have gone through a breakup. The average relationship lasts around 2 or 3 years. People will have gone through about 5 relationships before they get married. The marriage rate is just over 30%. Most people are getting married in their late 20s, early 30s. So yeah, the marriage rate is already quite low, but how many marriages themselves are successful?
I think people don't get married as much now because of financial instability. I think that's the big reason. Like, and I think also, like, social media gives people the idea that they could always find somebody better. So you have, like, the FOMO that's, like, right in front of you all the time with, like, Instagram and Twitter and shit. And I think that you put that together with, like, financial insecurity, and you have people that aren't trying to get married.
Again, success to me includes children. I'll mention here that less than half of Zoomer women even want to have children. 30% of marriages are childless. Childless marriages are more prone to divorce. Another 20% are only children. I'm including this because growing up as an only child is quite sad usually, and it fucking blows. You've probably heard.
Yeah, I was an only child too. I wish I had a brother or sister as well. Like, absolutely. Because, like, especially now that I'm older, like, it's like anything that my parents would need, like, that's on me and that's it, you know? It's like, that's a lot of pressure, man. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of stress.
Divorce rate is about 55%. It isn't just the divorce rate, but the amount of marriages that arguably should be divorced on account of certain factors. We can't know the exact number of these because it's much more qualitative. But dead bedrooms, they're just staying together for the kids. They don't want to go through the process of being divorced. So that's not very good. I'm not saying don't try. I'm still going to, but it looks pretty grim. You know, dudes obsessing over looks and not being able to get laid is kind of a chronically online diversion. This in itself is mostly driven by social...
I think it's a problem if you think it's a problem. It's like one of those things where, like, if you go into it and you're expecting that things aren't going to go well because of the way you look, they're probably not going to go well. But, like, if you go into it with confidence, like, I think 100% you're going to have a better chance at it. Like, here's a good example. Is like, how many of y'all have like told a joke to like a group of people and like it went over like really, really well and it was great, and then you've told the same joke to another group of people but you don't have that confidence for whatever reason and it didn't go over as well, right? Like, we all have had this happen. It's like people have, I think that like the human perception of confidence and like what that means is like way higher and way more important than I think people give it credit for. I think a lot of it is like subconscious, so you don't even notice it's happening. Hella awkward? Yeah, exactly.
Ineptitude, which is a consequence of a lack of community. And there is a lack of community because there's no family. Family is the prototype for all community. A return to community requires a return to family. A return to family requires a sacrifice in personal action.
Yeah, see, that's why people don't want to do it. Is like, they want to travel the world, they want to go and be famous, be a content creator, be an influencer, something like that, and you know, like go like advance their career, and like that's the reason why. Some kind of true? Yeah, no, it's making sense. No, this guy's great.
People always talk about returning to community, wanting that back, but the truth is we have been freed from communal bonds and pursuits. There's a tendency to offload the whole problem into something like places not being walkability. Well, Tokyo and many parts of Europe are perfectly walkable, and they're facing the same thing. Our libertine modern utopias want all the benefits of tightly knit communities while paying none of the costs.
Well, you got to remember also like why we don't have those tight knit communities anymore. A big reason why we don't have them is because a lot of them were oppressive and they were like massively constraining and controlling. It was religion, right? Yeah, it was a fall of religion. Yeah, there's a reason why we don't have these anymore. There were a lot of bad things about them.
Of individual freedom. It seems to me like there's actually nothing fair or moral about human sexual behavior. And we actually just can't be left to our own devices and expect things to work out. Instead of family formation, we now find a dating scene, which almost inevitably turns into a shit show. A modern date is basically just an interview with a stranger, where you used to be set up in a community where you are...
Bring back arranged marriages. And it's like, really, I'm joking about this, but not 100%. I'm only 95% joking. Because, like, y'all got to admit that, like, if you knew that you were just going to date this girl and then marry her in the future, like, this would probably take, like, there would be a lot of things now that you would not need to be stressed out about. Like, you wouldn't need to be thinking about, like, oh, well, I got to look this way. I've got to start mewing. You know, I want to make sure that I don't lose my hair. You know, all that I got to work out. Like, you don't need to worry about that, right? Because, like, you know, it's already lined up. It's going to be fine.
Know each other. There's nothing weird about it. I know almost inevitably there are going to be people saying, oh, you're thinking about this too much. I mean, I guess it's possible. I never really wanted to. I wish things would just work out, but the reality is the reality. And also a counterpoint, maybe you're not thinking about it enough. It's actually exactly the problem. There's no foresight. There's no planning ahead. It's all just completely reactive. The way we match...
I think people just do that because they want to act like they're doing the thing that they're supposed to be doing, right? It's like life imitating art, imitating life, where it's like they see movies, they see TV shows, they see people on social media that act this way, and then they want to go and emulate that themselves and project that they're this kind of person as well. Like, I think that's what's going on.
In the West now is all short-term, reactive, responding to things as opposed to long-term planning, which is what it always used to be. Communities, your family, your community actively works planning ahead in matchmaking you. Now you're just on your own. In order to maintain...
Because people used to always find a girl at, like, church and shit like that, too. And, like, now you don't have any of that. Because, like, nobody goes... Like, it's not the same culture as it used to be. So, like, they still do. Oh, yeah, they still do. Absolutely. Like, you go to a church. I remember I've been to church, like, fuck, I went to church, like, one time, like, recently. But that was, like, some other complicated... It was, like, some other personal thing. But, like... When I would go to church, I would see girls with ugly dudes all the time. Absolutely. Yeah. Like, no, but growing up, I went to mass. Like, I had like catechism. Like, I was raised Roman Catholic, and so, like, yeah, it was the whole thing. I had communion and all that shit.
Our civilization.
Not cataclysm. Not
investment parenting, monogamy, and higher birth rates are required. And none of these things are being met. And for most people, it doesn't even seem like there's an effort for these type of things to be met. So, in this way, it is, in fact, over. Can these things recover? I don't know. Maybe. I'm like 13 years old. I don't have solutions or prescriptions.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. Like, for social media, the problem is, like, social media has changed a lot of the way that people look at the world. And I think that it's going to take time for people to contextualize that into their life. No way he's 13. He's probably not 13. He's just fucking around, right? But, yeah, he's joking. Yeah, obviously.
But, you know, I'm chilling. It'll be worked out. Everything will be okay in the end. If it's not okay, it's not the end. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, keep on mewing. I'm sure that'll help, you fucking idiot.
Oh, God. Bro, this guy is great. Man, I've never seen his videos before. This is such a great video. Here, I'll give this guy a sub. This is amazing. What a good video. Yeah. Just funny, honest, clever, straightforward. This is so good. There's the video right there. Peak content. It is. Absolutely. He gets it. Yeah, he does. It's really good. I think that as a guy, right? I mean, for me, I think that, like, I've never really been, like, a kind of guy that girls like. And I feel like when I was younger, I would try to do more to, like, look in a certain way. But I basically just gave up. To be honest with you, I did. I gave up a while ago. Because the truth is, I'm a fucking degenerate. And anybody that knows me gonna realize that, you know? Change his life, exactly. Same, yeah, no. But same, but you're rich now? No, that's the thing, right? As a streamer, obviously, people are going to look at you a different way, but you're not going to think that's because of you, right? I mean, like, that's naive. Nobody going to think about that. Funny thing is, women gave up too? Yeah, for sure. Problems in society, people no longer take account for their own actions. I think that's the reality, is, like, a lot of the reasons why people are in a bad situation, in most cases, is actually because of themselves. And you look at a lot of these guys and it's like, wow, you know, like, what do you, like, you really going to bring a girl over? You've got all these figurines of these girls of questionable age. Like, what do you think she's going to do whenever she sees it? Like, why you have those out? This is in your room, man? Like, why you have that? What are you doing? Never give up. Yeah, some girls are into that. Yeah, but, like, I wouldn't start off like that. I wouldn't start off like that. What the fuck? That's not a good icebreaker, is it? A body pill? Most aren't. Yeah, most aren't. There it is. I think that there is a lot of people that have, like, they're disillusioned with current culture because they feel like they've been put in a position that makes them a loser, right? It makes them, you know, like, not happy and not secure in the place that they live, or the place that they're at. You quickly filter them out. Yeah, and I think that's what happens the most, right? Past experiences. Yeah, I think that a lot of people, like, if you want to look at the people that are making a lot of comments about men or women on the internet, almost all of those comments are a result of past emotional unresolved trauma. That's it. That's where they're coming from. And, like, they're mad because, like, they say all girls are whores. Like, no, you don't really think that. Your girlfriend before this was a whore because she cheated on you, right? Like, that's what actually happened. It's the same as, like, all men are trash. No, all men aren't trash. Your dad was trash. You know, like, what are you talking about? Completely agree. Yeah, that's what it is. Dr. K says the same thing about his videos. A lot of incel patients. Yeah. Dating's really hard, to be honest. I really can't tell you. I don't really go on dates or do anything like that. Like, I mean, obviously, right? I've always been, like, a bit of a degenerate. And by a bit of a degenerate, I mean, like, a complete fucking degenerate. You know, absolute animal fiend. You know, no mere mortal can live with Asmongold, that kind of shit, right? These are just plates with food.
Okay.
Yeah, what
I don't know, like the air conditioning, the possums.
I got a new one.
The raccoons.
Well, no, I got a new
that
air
you're
conditioning,
breathing.
not a new possum. The what?
Okay, well, what about the mold air?
Just don't look at it.
You are nothing without faith.
It's that.
Sauron sees himself as master of all Middle-earth. He seeks to rule it not only through conquest, but by bending the minds of all its peoples to his own. And for that, he needs not armies. No! But rings.
In choosing to wear those rings, you have all become his collaborators.
I know you believe this ring is deceiving me, but I believe it is guiding me.
All this may be by his design.
These rings may be how he attains power.
They must be destroyed.
We will discuss the rings once you have answered the question. Who is this man?
He is no man. He deceived me. He is Sauron.
What am I to call you?
A sharer of gifts. Our work begins now.
I have walked across mountains and deserts.
That's cool.
To help my friend find his destiny. One the fate of the world may depend on.
Is it my task to stop the fire? Is it my task to face Sauron? To try and cheat death might lead to an even greater...
Oh, shit!
Father, take off the ring.
Is that Minas Tirith? I guess it is.
I'm afraid, Durin.
Every soul in Middle-earth is in peril. Will you abandon them to their doom?
No, what have you done to me?
Leave Sauron to me.
Promise me, Elrond. You will not stop until he is destroyed.
Forgiveness takes an age.
I need your axe, old friend.
Fight with me. Fight with our friends!
Yeah, y'all right. This is better.
There are always some who rise forth and shine. You will give me the nine.
Ooh. He's talking about the Nazgul. That's cool. So I guess what we've got here is, so I guess the Balrog does get unearthed, right? Which is kind of like, it's like there was allusion to that. Like, this is clearly what's going to happen in the in like the future, right? Because like in the first, what do you call it? In like the first season, they talked about that. The wizard looks so bad. It's fan service. I mean, this definitely looks way better. It looks better than any Rings of Power trailer that I've seen so far. It does. No, I'm not really saying it's like amazing, and it could be garbage. Like, I thought the first one was kind of garbage, but this definitely is better. So this is like, for me, like, this is good enough to where like I would watch this. Like, the first season of Rings of Power, I lost interest like 2/3 of the way through, and I just didn't even finish it. And like, before I saw this, before this trailer came out, I had no intention of watching season 2. Now, I think after seeing this, I'd want to finish the rest of it and watch season 2. Yeah, this looks a little bit more like Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I know. Balrog was a female from this trailer. Yeah, I'm not really sure exactly. This could all just be editing. Yeah, maybe, right? I mean, I don't know. But either way, I'm willing to watch it and, see if maybe it's actually kind of good. I think if they have a few of the fight scenes and everything and they're as good as they could be, then, yeah, okay, so this is... Oh. So this is the white tree, and when it was in, I guess, Numenor? Yeah, maybe, I guess that's it. Yeah, I see. Because I saw this peak here, and I was like, oh, this is Minas Tirith. But then it's like, no, it's clearly not. The Tree of Kings, yeah, I think that the tree's name is like Ecthelion or something like that. I don't remember exactly. But, yeah. Minas Tirith is not built yet? Yeah. Osgiliath? No, Osgiliath is the outpost after, it's like in between Minas Tirith and Mordor. Yeah, that's different. Too big for Osgiliath? Yeah, that's not it. Yeah. I mean, I've seen the movies, right? There it is. And so, Minas Morgul before it got taken over? No, because like it's not next to the water. And also like, you really think it's Minas Morgul whenever they have a fucking the same thing that Minas Tirith had with a white tree on it? It's not Minas Morgul. It's it's fucking Numenor. Like, let's be honest. Like, what are we why are we even talking about this? Okay, so yeah, anyway, yeah, this seems actually kind of decent, and yeah, I would be willing to watch this. This is better than I had expected. I'll tell you that. Better than I'd expected. That's Numenor, where the people from Gondor are from. Yeah. Well, apparently, because I had apparently gotten this wrong on Steak and Eggs. I forgot, because I thought it was the Valar that sunk Numenor, but it was actually Eru Ilvatar. I had no idea about that. Or I had an idea, I just thought it was something different. And so, yes, basically, spoiler alert, the whole city gets sunk, right? And then they go over to Gondor. They make Gondor. And that's why the tree is so important, is because it's from Numenor. You see what I'm saying? I still don't like how they did Celebrimbor. Yeah, I kind of expected him to be like a little bit more distinguished and erudite, you know? Maybe, yeah, sure. It was okay, but Celeborn is missing. I thought he was in the he was in the first season. Yeah, was he in this? We see Sauron crafting the rings. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he was. I'm like 90% sure. We need an Asmund Lord of the Rings story time. I'd have to brush up on a lot of things before I did that, and I felt confident about it. There was him. Really? I didn't even know that. Okay, is he's in this trailer? I personally don't think, like, Tom, like... So this is, like, my own headcanon that I think happened. I'm not even really sure that this is even true or not. It's the brown dude with the hat. This guy? No, there's no way. That's like that wizard guy. I'm just looking through this. No, I'm not. I have no idea. The blue hat? Yeah. Well, either way, the blue wizards. Tom is Iluvatar. I've always thought that Tom Bombadil and Ungoliant were like manifestations of good and evil. Like this, like pure manifestations of good and evil inside of Arda. And they were just like the representations of it, right? Where like Ungoliant is like pure evil and like Tom Bombadil is like pure good. It's in the middle here. No, I don't think that's it. That's definitely not Tom Bombadil. Yeah, 235? No, there's no way. 235? You know what? You guys are probably right. Yeah. That's Radagast? I don't think that's Radagast. Blue Wizards? Oh, Jesus. Yeah, I don't think so, man. Also, I don't think they can use the IP for the Blue Wizards, right? Because somebody said that's why Gandalf said he couldn't remember their names in Lord of the Rings. So there's 5 wizards? No, I know that. That's the Astari Order. No, I know that's what's happening. I just... Anatar and Polando? Yeah, Alatar and Polando. Yeah, those are the 2 blue wizards. But my understanding is that the 2 blue wizards actually came to Middle-earth very early, and they kind of went off to the west. And that's why they're not really in the story. To the east? Okay, right. But yeah, they went somewhere they weren't supposed to go, all right? Yeah, was it east or the west? I get those confused even in real life. So yeah, they pieced out early, exactly, because like that's why they brought back Gandalf, because they said that Gandalf was the only wizard to not forsake his responsibility as the Astari, right? Because Saruman turned evil, Radagast got high, the blue wizards pieced the fuck out, and then Gandalf was the only one that's like, all right, guys, does anybody remember what we're supposed to be doing here? Like, no? It's just me. Okay. All right, great. Yeah, that's it. It's like you got to do a group project all by yourself, man. Saruman redemption? No, there's no redemption for Saruman. And Saruman, even at the beginning, like it was clear at the very beginning that Saruman was kind of like a bad dude, you know? Gandalf was the backup plan? Yeah. Radagast the pothead? Yeah. Saruman was never redeemed? Yeah. Ed Hubers? Yeah, exactly. OG Lord of the Rings cast, Chad? Yeah, but it was actually pretty good. You know, like I'll go back to what I said originally. Pretty good.
There's a lot of things you can say about Nintendo, but you cannot deny that there's a lot of things you can say about Nintendo, but you cannot deny that the company has some of the wisest and most creatively driven game developers in the entire industry. They just have this like philosophy to game making that I think so much of the industry could learn more from and apply. And among the most well-known names at Nintendo is Masahiro Sakurai, who is the developer of Super Smash Bros., the creator and the lead on Super Smash Brothers. And recently, he released this video titled Targeting and Market Research that discusses its efficacy and or its downfalls. And I think this is a video that a lot of AAA publishers and those chasing trends and live services and those who are kind of aiming to replicate other developers' successes should watch, because I think he absolutely nailed it on the head here discussing this particular topic. And there's a level of wisdom here and a level of caring about innovating when it comes to making games that I think is just really respectable. So this is a 4-minute long video that I kind of want to check out with you guys so I can show you what he said and what the industry could learn from this. So here we go. Also, I love this channel. Masahiro Sakurai on creating games. A lot of great knowledge.
主に年齢と性別あるいは思考などで区分されます。同じようにソフトがどの層に支持されているのかマーケティングによって緻密に綿密にデータ化されています。任天堂の作品においても驚くほど細かいデータが得られてますね。つまり支持が厚いターゲット層がある。そして
Market research is not unimportant.
あるいは弱い層を補って商品を売るのがターゲティング。
But over relying on it can lead to a lack of innovation. Sort of that eventually becomes the point, and you'll see in a minute.
ざっくり言えばということで。でもな、ターゲティングやマーケティングをすることにはもちろん異論はないのだけど、個人的には真面目に考えても仕方があるまいと思っています。もちろんそれが非常に有効な業界もありますが、特にゲームの企画を新しく考えようという場合、真面目に捉えないことをお勧めします。ターゲティングやマーケティングっていうのは既存のものから想定するデータです。これからの道を示してくれるわけではありません。
That's right.
ユーザーの境界線はとても曖昧です。可愛いものが好きな高齢者だっているし、ハードな表現を好む子供もいます。決してどこかで線引きできるものではありません。
All right, so I'm going to pause real quick and talk about some of what he said. He said we shouldn't rely on market research too much because it ultimately just talks about or presents data on existing ideas. And if you base your game development on those existing ideas and what market research says about those, instead of kind of treading new ground and walking on uncharted territory that could essentially kind of lead to new market research that could highlight the success of something that others didn't think about, you're not innovating. You're just trying to chase the shadow of something. You're trying to be the success of something that already exists. And that's what we see a lot of companies doing right now. And sometimes it works and, you know, they make a lot of money off of a genre that suddenly became popular. But those genres slowly become more and more saturated. And market research will tell you, well, if you make a certain type of hero shooter, a certain type of battle royale, a certain type of shooter, whatever, a certain type of live service, then the potential of making money is tremendous. But if you're not there first, if you don't stand out from the pack, if you just chase trends and you are pretty, you know, not awful, but overall substandard at everything you do, and it's just essentially a different aesthetic for something that already exists that has had more time to flesh itself out, to become more feature complete, and you're coming in trying to compete with those guys, your game's most likely to fail. And I feel like that's kind of what's happening with Concord, which is this hero shooter that is not bad by any stretch of the imagination. It's just so unimaginative in terms of innovation. It came in too late. It doesn't do, aside from like, you know, the heroes and the aesthetic and all that being its own unique thing, the overall game format, what you're playing is essentially a less feature complete version of something like Overwatch. You think about all of the live services that have shut down recently, and it's all a result of either the quality not being high enough or the concept not being exhilarating and innovative enough, or it's a matter of them just trying to replicate something that already exists, and people going, why would I want to play this new thing when we've already got the better version of it? And sometimes you know, certain developers add a twist to the genre that makes it compelling enough where it draws attention, and stuff like that can happen. But generally, this kind of trend chasing leads to a certain downfall that comes from the over-reliance on what market research says about what can make you the most money. You know, what's the thing that will appeal to a massive audience? But to approach it from that perspective, that's just a flawed way to, you know, try to innovate. You know, when you think about some of the best games ever made and some of the most successful games ever made, they didn't come into it with a perspective of what does the market research say. They came into it with a perspective of what's fun for us. What do we want to make? What do we want to say with our video game? And what are we trying to do that to make an experience that's new and unique and fun, and then let that sell itself instead of relying on trying to replicate a success, you know, using data or whatever. Just like if you speak from the heart and appeal to people's hearts in terms of what they know to be fun and what kind of experiences they perceive as compelling, based on, you know, just the kind of game that these developers make that they themselves would want to play and hope that other people resonate with, then that's when you get, you know, some of the biggest successes. And he also delves into targeting specific age groups and specific whatever. And the way he talks about how those lines can be blurry, I think is really great. Look, SpongeBob SquarePants, you look at that show and it looks like it's for kids, but guess what? A lot of adults still like SpongeBob SquarePants. Just because something looks cutesy and, you know, looks like it might be for kids doesn't mean it specifically appeals to kids. And in equal measure, just because something is darker and grittier doesn't mean it won't appeal to a younger audience. You know, like I'm sure if you look at the audience base of something like, I don't know, Elden Ring or Baldur's Gate 3, yeah, sure, a lot of those are adults, but there are probably a lot of younger folks too, who, you know, play those games and partake in them and are discovering, you know, just a new experience that they really enjoy. And you know, plenty of people who you think these kinds of games won't appeal to are probably playing these games because word of mouth spread about just how great they are, what an enthralling and just unique experience that only that development studio could make, they offer. And so let's continue watching this video.
子供もいます。決してどこかで線引きできるものではありません。例えば、初代星のカービィは初心者層に向けているゲームですが、私が子供向けなどといったことはありません。初心者には当然のように大人も子供も男も女もいます。
Very true.
強いて言うならターゲティングは初心者ということになります。年齢ではないですね。ただ初心者向けといえどそれなりの手応えがあるし、上級者が操作感を楽しむために遊ぶこともあると思います。一言ではくれない。またマーケティング
So yeah, I think that's a really great way to put it. You look at a FromSoft game that's designed for more experienced gamers, you know, people who are, you know, more comfortable with just more complex inputs and concepts in gaming, and tons of people bought games like Elden Ring and, you know, the Souls games and whatnot, because there are a lot of people now who have played enough games that they're able to kind of seek a greater challenge. But, you know, if I wanted a game that appeals, you know, to both, you know, someone like me who's more experienced with games, but also someone who hasn't played games as much and just needs simpler inputs, you know, that's how I think that's where Nintendo gets that magic sauce of when you look at the likes of Mario Party and even games like Splatoon, which took the shooter concept and made it a bit more accessible, or Mario Kart even, and how many people play that game who normally don't play a lot of video games, or hell, even Super Smash Brothers. You know, that's one of those games where, like, if I booted up Tekken, only a certain crowd, a niche crowd of, or not niche, but like a crowd of like people who've like really master that game or at least partake in it enough to be able to be competent would play that game. Super Smash Bros. Simplifies the controls and the inputs enough where you can kind of get away with not being an expert in fighting games, but still do stuff. But there's still room for a gap in expertise. You know, there's a huge skill gap between, you know, people who have mastered Smash Brothers and those who just kind of engage in the basic moves. So it appeals to those who are beginners, but also experts. And it's this great kind of accessible kind of a game. But not everything has to be that. Tekken 8 is its own thing, and it appeals to that particular crowd. So designing games in the perspective of, like, how broad of an appeal do you want it to have based on its difficulty requirements, and then instead of over-relying on market research and just ultimately going, what kind of game do we want to make that's just, like, really cool and unique, that doesn't follow and chase trends, that's just like this idea that somebody had that makes you go, ooh, that's interesting. Nobody's tried that. Let's go for it. That's when you get those magic sauce games that go on to become landmarks in the history of gaming. Let's watch further. I love this video. It's 4 minutes long, but it has so much insight. There's a lot said in few words.
マーケティングはすでに完成しているものに対するデータです。
Yes, correct.
誰かが通った道を事細かに分析する。
That's exactly right. Chasing trends.
新しい道を切り開くという要素はないわけで。
Nothing that's innovative. That's right.
多く通ったところは分かるわけだから。だけど、それを追い続けるとだんだん平凡平均的なものになっていって。
More average and mediocre, and that sells less. And then right here we have a segment where Sakurai basically highlights the issue of oversaturation and how when everyone starts chasing the same trend, that whole trend starts to die. It just starts to become too much, and the lack of innovation makes that trend eventually start to become boring and harder for new titles in that particular trend or who are chasing that trend to succeed.
スーパーファミコン時代、日本ではドラクエや FF っぽい作品が山ほど出ました。マーケティングとしては RPG が売れている。
The market research said follow the RPG trend, but then everyone started following this path. All those games dove in an oversaturated market.
マーケティングは過去のもの。どちらも何か新しいことをしようというふうにするときには邪魔になりかねないので話半分程度にするのが良いのではないでしょうか。
I like it's so beautifully said.
斬新なことをしようという人たちはいつでも孤独です。誰も通ったことがない道を切り開いているわけだから。しかし
That's right, and everyone's like, I don't get it because they haven't done this before, they haven't seen this before.
ことをしなければ広がらないし、先駆者が後に続く人たちの指標になったりします。ビジネスとして必要なこともそれが当てはまらない場合がある。
The needs of a business won't lead to that. The needs of a business.
の方も含めて心がけてもらえれば幸いです。
Just so many great quotes and nuggets of wisdom in this video that I'm like, I have to talk about this because this feels like somebody took a very simple concept of, you know, this is how we should approach things creatively and made it very palatable and made it very informative and said exactly what I think a lot of people are basically thinking, but just put in better words. But yeah, the basic of it is in this one frame. Targeting is not so reliable, and market research is just analyzing the past, not blazing a new road towards something that has yet to be discovered. That bit where Sakurai talked about how it is lonely to be on a path to innovation, to be the one to kind of try to come up with new ideas, resonates in a way that I think Kojima would really understand, because he's someone who's constantly said what a lonely road it is for him as a game designer, because he always comes up with these ideas and concepts that make people go, what, bro? And, you know, he say what you want about Kojima games, but he's someone who's always thinking of like weird shit nobody would ever dream of greenlighting. You know what I mean? He just made a AAA delivery man game in the form of Death Stranding. And yeah, I mean, I know it may not necessarily be for everyone, but like what he made with that game and the whole, you know, strand system and whatever, took Dark Souls and Soulsborne's like messaging system and expanded it in a way where it's like you're not encountering people's messages, but people's structures and all the different things that people put down that helps you in your journey, and how when you connect, all of that stuff populates the world. It's such a cool idea that, you know, when you like try to pitch this, the likes of, you know, all your usual AAA publishers that go the safe path, who do the market research and follow the market research path, would probably not ever greenlight something like that, or even conceive or try to make the attempt of conceiving something like that. And so, you know, I imagine that during the development of Death Stranding, Kojima got a lot of like, I'm not sure, man. Like, I don't see it. I don't see the vision here. But Kojima, deep down, he knew what he was making. And it wasn't about targeting a specific audience. It wasn't about doing what market research indicated would see the best results. Kojima just like had this fucking thing he wanted to make. He had this feeling about this concept, and he just executed on it. And he made something just really unique and interesting. It's not the best-selling game ever, you know, but it still sold well because it was a Kojima game, and it was crazy enough to draw people's attention, to make them go, what the hell is this? Like, to pique their curiosity. And for those who played it and enjoyed it, they've had a pretty, like, interesting and, you know, transformative experience where it made them go, like, I didn't think about a game that could kind of approach the interactive nature of this medium in this way. And so, yeah, I don't know. This topic just I felt really passionate about and felt the need to kind of put out there because Sakurai just like, it was like almost like an itch that he scratched for me when he just put it in such precise and wise words what I've been feeling about certain aspects of the games industry that feel so stale and so just lacking in that like drive for creative innovation, you know? But that, ladies and gentlemen, is one man's take. Let me know what you think about what Masahiro Sakurai had to say about how you shouldn't lean so heavily on, you know, what research says about targeting and what market research says about the path that you should walk on. Instead, forge your own path. I think it's the wisest words you could give to any creative, anyone who is an artist. That's my take. Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.
StarCraft 1 was my second PC game, and my first love. I played the game like many diehards in most of Korea for many, many years after it and Brood War's launch. It was the first game that I played for a full 24 hours straight, with my beloved grandma greeting me in the morning as I zombied on in custom games. So when I got the chance to play the sequel, StarCraft 2, sometime in the alpha of 2009, I was beside myself to figure out the latest and greatest tech, strategies, and cheeses, my personal favorite. And while Reapers were OP back then and many other things, the game really looked like another chance to play a favorite RTS title for many more years. But despite my enjoyment of StarCraft 2 and my many years and hours of playing the game, reaching Master Tier at the peak just a few years back, it never really quite felt the same way as StarCraft 1 did, nor did I play it as long. And while some might say, well, that's just nostalgia speaking, or that it doesn't have to feel the same, and those are certainly a factor and valid, but what I find with StarCraft 2 is a much shorter reign, and a less successful general permeation into the culture of gaming as a title. What you realize while navigating the timeline of events that unfold as the videos do, however, is that StarCraft 2, which did launch to near universal acclaim back in 2010, could have been much more. But due to a combination of changes in design, developer-publisher mistakes, and StarCraft 2 has found itself less played than its much older brother. Worse, as of late, it has only received 1 or 2 community updates yearly for the past 3 years. That's why I'm covering it in the Death of a Game series, a series where we navigate the said timeline of events in an attempt to spot and collect the clues and bits of evidence, so we can solve the case of what is and are the largest contributing factors to the game's death or demise. This all culminates to a final deduction, every detective's favorite, where we put the case back in the cabinet and move on to the next. The story begins coming off the success of StarCraft's Brood War expansion in 1998 and Warcraft 3's expansion Frozen Throne in 2003. Blizzard had been dominating the RTS genre, even with stiff competition in Command & Conquer and Age of Empires for easily 6 years. This was on top of their mega success that they were reaching with World of Warcraft later in 2004. Blizzard at this point couldn't do anything wrong and was seen as both one of the most talented development teams and yet one of the most trustworthy at the same time. StarCraft was big in the West, but in the East, especially in South Korea, the game had become a cultural icon, a sport, a way of life for many pros and aspiring pros. The pressure to create a new StarCraft game was strong globally, but no region more that Blizzard wanted to impress than Korea, which despite being a smaller country had become both the best and most played players in StarCraft 1 history. This can be seen in how StarCraft 2 was announced to the world, announced nowhere other than Korea. Blizzard's team would take the stage in Seoul, Korea at the Olympic gymnastics stage. Mike Morhaime, the then president of Blizzard, Rob Pardo, the lead director on development, and the writer and designer Chris Metzen greeted and thanked fans for coming out and watching the announcement to come. Then the pros of StarCraft 1 and Warcraft 3 would take the stage and introduce themselves as well. After that, Mike Morhaime would take the stage yet again, thanking the Korean fans for their enthusiasm, before welcoming in the new trailer for their upcoming game, a sequel, StarCraft 2. And the crowd, literally this time, went wild. With the announcement would be the reveal of who the lead designer on the project was as well. They would be none other than the former Command & Conquer developer, as well as the developer and lead designer on Battle for Middle-earth, Dustin Broder. This would end up being a pretty pivotal change, as James Finney was no longer involved in the project, which would end up signaling 2 major changes going forward: the campaign and the pacing and focus of the multiplayer competitive game. News of StarCraft 2 erupted on the internet, and some StarCraft 1 fans like myself were still playing the game and got these rumbles while playing the game. The biggest questions were going to be, how would the game look, and how would it play? And some of these questions would be answered in 2007 when Rob Pardo would be interviewed concerning StarCraft 2. Rob outlined that with StarCraft 2, Blizzard was going back to its roots to make a true sequel, where resource management will be more central to gameplay and there will be less micromanagement of different units with special abilities. I find this interesting, because basically it contrasts with, from the sounds of it, with StarCraft 1. Which would be those roots, right? But maybe he's referring to the fact that Warcraft has a lot more abilities. Rob would also express a desire to make all-out rushing more viable. The most surprising, at least for modern Blizzard or Activision Blizzard fans to read or hear, is that Rob was expressing the skill difference in the game as being a part of the game's main expression. Rob would even state that in StarCraft 2 there would be more pronounced skill levels and more nuance in high-level play. Rob was basically promising that the game would be niche, at least in a sense. But due to how large the RTS genre was, and how successful Blizzard was with their titles in it, they really believed, I think, that they could crack that ceiling. Or just maybe they didn't know what that ceiling was yet. Blizzard, which was owned by Vivendi Games in a never-before-expected move, would be purchased by Activision for an at-the-time unprecedented $19 billion. Activision Blizzard would be formed, which would spark a huge downturn of quality for the company at large, and a slew of harassment cases and, later, a lawsuit. That's the funny thing about corporations with art, or video games in this case. They can make money off of the momentum they previously had when the company was making and creating new art and innovating by cutting corners up to a point. This is why they have to have massive layoffs whenever things don't go according to plan, which has plagued Blizzard, for example, now known as Activision Blizzard, for many years after the fact. But I guess the point is, after the well runs dry, you have to come up with new innovation and new moves and make sure that you're keeping yourself modern. And well, fast forwarding a bit, Activision Blizzard never really did that past Overwatch, which was technically part of a former failed project from 2007. When a corporation, especially the size of Activision, acquires you, things are going to change. Blizzard might have been successful previously, but relative to others, they weren't the biggest company, which would now nearly change overnight. Expectations would grow as well, as now things would have to be that much more money-making to succeed. That means immediately you would notice changes, and those changes were felt with StarCraft 2, with the announcement in 2009 that LAN mode would not be supported anymore. This means that you could no longer just plug in offline PCs with a copy of the game to get a tournament running and the game to work. While for many unaware fans it seemed like a bit of a non-starter, this was clearly a corporate move by Activision Blizzard to combat the rampant success of StarCraft 1 in Korea and other regions, and by combat I mean try to dip their toes in and make money off of things that they'd never put any effort in. To put simply, StarCraft 1 had outgrown Blizzard and blossomed to a massive esport hit in Korea without much or any of their help really at all. This led to the success of KESPA, or the Korean Esports Association, with their StarCraft League. The new user agreement, though, would mean that players would no longer own the game, which would mean that breaking the service could actually be actionable by law. Some fans, though, seeing right through the power grab by Activision Blizzard attempting to consolidate more power and control of their game, would review bomb the pre-order of the game. StarCraft 2 would launch July 27th, 2010 and make rumbles unlike almost any other title that I have covered in the series thus far. On aggregate review website Metacritic from 80 different critics plus, StarCraft 2 would score a 93 out of 100 and reach universal acclaim. Nearly 1.5 million copies would be sold in just 2 days, and by the end of the year, they would sell over 4.5 million copies. This wasn't some cult classic scenario, where the game would score well but not sell that well. It was a fast-selling game and one of the fastest-selling RTSs ever. StarCraft 2 overnight had become one of the most played games and best-selling games of its genre. PC Gamer would score StarCraft 2 a 93 out of 100, calling the campaign gloriously well-crafted and the multiplayer an Olympic experience. The former being quite unique to Blizzard, making quality campaigns in RTS games, that is. But some cracks were shown when PC Gamer states that the best way of describing the joy of StarCraft 2 online is this: even if you win, you are usually left exhausted. The mental effort required to scout your opponent, match their economy, deliver a counter, and execute a plan will leave you drained and broken. If you lose, the mental effort is the same, sometimes greater. And while they explain they also never left the game unhappy because of this, with all due respect, they never really put that much time into the game, as most of these reviews don't. Which means at some point, I can tell you from my many hundreds of hours of the game, and my easily 1,000+ hours in StarCraft 1, let me just tell you, at some point in losing efforts, you're going to get frustrated. Because the idea that you're always cognizant enough or aware enough to even learn from defeats or even know how you're losing just isn't true, even with VOD review. Game Informer gave the game a super impressive perfect score of 10 out of 10. They would express great admiration for the modern take on a classic RTS concept, the impressive graphics, especially for an RTS, and the high amount of replayability. There was so much to like and chew on with StarCraft 2. If you didn't love grinding on the uber competitive ranked ladders, you could always just do casual matches, or one of my favorites, Archon mode, where you share control with another player. And of course, matchmaking wasn't the only way to experience the game, just like StarCraft 1. Custom games would give birth to some of the coolest and most unique maps and game modes, some sprouting out of almost nowhere at launch because they were either made by experienced modders or built on classic mods. The only downside I think that you could argue with the gameplay options offered at launch with StarCraft 2 was the lack of custom campaigns for the time, or at least having the feature accessible, which would come later, and that there was quite the contrast between the custom games and the competitive ladder in StarCraft 1. This wasn't nearly as pronounced, with many custom competitive modes also present in lobbies. It's also worth mentioning that the problem in general with StarCraft and Warcraft as a series is that the single-player campaigns don't get you actually ready for multiplayer. And StarCraft 2, it just felt like that, at least for me personally, was a little bit more pronounced too. The death of StarCraft 2's LAN feature wouldn't be the only casualty in the new acquisition and Activision's new influence. Although often Blizzard was described as functioning separately from Activision, ironically, including from multiple reputable journalists, I've never really seen this to be true, and it doesn't really make sense for it to be true anyway. And even if I am being the utmost charitable about it, they still have a heavy level of influence over you anyway. It's not like you're working independently anymore, or in a vacuum. Anyway, Activision Blizzard, in my opinion, would create a long-lasting blunder that still hurts StarCraft 2 today, and contributes to its non-existent competitive scene outside of official tournaments and a smaller scene than the previous title. Negotiations previously had been tense between Kespa and Blizzard, but were even worse after the Activision acquisition. They would be ultimately unable to negotiate the broadcast rights for StarCraft 2, and would choose to go with another competitor, GOM TV, instead. GOM TV was relatively new in the space, but had just recently held a very successful tournament and had some major talent involved. Kespa, of course, was the de facto biggest Korean tournament organizer, so losing them would not only hurt in the short term, it would greatly hurt the longevity of StarCraft 2 if the other series didn't pan out especially. Due to strained relations as well, many StarCraft 1 pros wouldn't even transition to StarCraft 2, whether because they worked with Kespa and were told not to, or because they just didn't trust the new changes in the unproven esport that StarCraft 2 was at the time. GOM TV was then put in charge and ran the StarCraft 2 tournament scene for 2 years to great success. Activision Blizzard started then organizing their own tournaments and competitions, probably wanting to get a piece of that pie. This would literally lead to counter-programming, with some GOM TV matches having nearly no viewers because of it, and some teams expressing great fatigue and having to pull out altogether from tournaments. This rapid-fire tournament organizing and counter-programming would lead to many tournament organizers having to pull out altogether. Most notably, IGN's Pro League, though StarCraft 2 wouldn't be the only reason that they folded, it was a major reason due to match-fixing scandals with Yoda. NASL and MLG would also stop hosting StarCraft 2 tournaments too, which was just another dagger. Sometimes having more competition for tournaments is good. See the Counter-Strike scene for many years. But when you're organizing league structures and needing players to play dozens of games, it can just lead to more fatigue. We were running into issues with scheduling or conflicts. Players and tournament scheduling was very much out of our control. There were conflicts and we weren't getting the best StarCraft we could. There was viewer and player fatigue. The first expansion would be announced November 2012, set for the following year. Heart of the Swarm, featuring the Zerg faction and their queen, Kerrigan, would launch March 12th, 2013, and like most StarCraft or Warcraft expansions, not just add more campaign, but actually add new units to the multiplayer and end up changing the very meta of the game. Heart of the Swarm would sell 1.1 million copies in a jiffy, proving that StarCraft 2 was still around to be a major player. Though to be clear, I think this is worth mentioning, the original game sold for X that, so it's not a total buy-in from the original buyers. After the success, the game had a massive stage set, and then completely bunted on things with the new units like the Swarm host, most importantly. That's because although Brood War added nice wrinkles to StarCraft 1 in its competitive scene, StarCraft 2 with its new expansion nearly rewrote the meta and pacing of the game. The game was now tremendously slowed down, with one professional game most famously lasting hours before one pro just decided to start browsing Reddit, and then that got him forfeited, and they ended the match. The Swarm host, and the problem with it at the time, was that it allowed you to siege with very little recourse, absurdly powerfully. More importantly at the time, the Locusts themselves would spawn on 1-to-1 cooldowns, making them far more potent than in modern times, because in modern times they're more used as hit and run. While this would be changed later on, the amount of times matches would be derailed, including at the pro level by this and the Nidus Worm combo, was enormous. More importantly, it developed a meta that many players just weren't happy about, and when metas get developed, they often skew in the other direction too. MMM, or Marine Medic Marauder, became a favorite of many Terran players at the time, who would use it as a counter to people rushing Swarm, and then use it to bully players like me, who had very weak Protoss early games. HOTS just wasn't really a good competitive meta for the game, which really hurt their competitive scene. After seeing the success of GSL in Korea, Blizzard would mimic this for their other regions and erect a global league of their own, dubbing it the World Championship Series. They would also team up with Afrika TV and GSL and likely have them help run the tournaments in Korea and assert more control. I'm just kidding. The WCS was supposed to be a global circuit, but Activision Blizzard would make the interesting decision, or blunder depending on your opinion, to allow players to choose what region they wanted to compete in. This would force South Korean players, the overwhelmingly most successful region and professional set of players, to choose to compete in a new region for easier competition and money, or stay with a safer bet in their own region. Activision Blizzard would then add WCS points, which could be earned by placing at WCS events or third-party ones. The problem being that naturally the most points would be for attending the WCS events, which would mean that the most successful teams would just be the ones that could afford to have their players travel the most. Most famously, Evil Geniuses had Jaedong travel like an absurd amount for tournaments at this time. By 2014 at the Global Finals, no foreigners would even qualify at all, and the two most popular Western players, Idra and Stefano, would both retire, citing that the game was the reason why. You have to think, things get worse when you have top Korean players in your region, because now they're dominating you before you ever get a chance to actually improve to be able to fight them. After 2014, the competitive scene globally started to really just jump off a cliff. Activision Blizzard was effectively killing their own tournament organizers more and more. The prize pool also had in total shrunk about 25% overall, and many tournaments had just simply started shutting down altogether. StarCraft 2 was just getting passed up competitively by other things, like MOBAs, like Dota and League of Legends, which was ironic because StarCraft and Warcraft gave birth to the MOBA genre. But MOBAs had the benefit of only having you control one unit, a hero unit, which greatly would simplify the macro and microplay required, as well as just general awareness. In MOBAs, the macro becomes more about playing with your teammates. While the competitive scene was already faltering between 2013 and 2014, things would really hit the fan in 2015, when the game's general player base would also suffer and the viewership had just disappeared. While I usually point to failed esport endeavors for multiplayer titles as a way to point out poorly weighed priorities, in the case of StarCraft 2, it was actually more dire than that. The game was basically built to be competitive, and if that didn't work, the game wouldn't really work. Even some of the most iconic figures of the game, like Day 9, would depart for greener pastures. Activision Blizzard would put part of the blame on their inability to keep up with their competitors, but claim they were still focused on fixing what they could, such as the region locking and an increase in the prize pool. Also, while 2015 was the death of esports in StarCraft 2 for many, it was a large resurgence for none other than its older brother Brood War. The final expansion for StarCraft 2, Legacy of the Void, featured my favorite Protoss faction and would be announced in September of 2015. It would then launch November 10th, 2015, and yet again sell over 1 million copies just about, almost overnight. Unfortunately though, the campaign itself technically at this point had taken 5 years to complete, which contributed, at least I think, to some people feeling disconnected from the plot at this point, as well as just a generally weaker received plot. Although some enjoy the plot in StarCraft 2, as it's much simpler, the issue is that it suffers from a lot of just inconsistencies, and worse, it lacks what made the first game so special, which was the beautiful nuance and gray zones the game and world operated within. Still, Legacy of the Void was largely received well, but part of the problem it seemed with StarCraft 2 was that, especially this late into its run, was that the game did a poor job of attracting new players, and the ones that it did attract, it did a poor job of keeping them. This is a bit of the elephant in the room anytime you talk about StarCraft 2. The game has an incredibly high skill cap. As someone who hit Master Tier myself, I can actually tell you very confidently, I only scratched the surface personally. I've played GMs who have skunked me. Now imagine what pros and the best pros are doing to me. But while many successful games have high skill caps, the issue with StarCraft 2 was that the custom game community was actually pretty small, and the game itself required more than just high levels of skill, but absurd decision making, mechanics, and macro and micro domination. StarCraft 2 is so difficult for new players to play, and I know firsthand because I have spoken to many of my friends and tried to drag them into the game. One of the #1 issues is that it's hard to improve when you just can't improve at one thing and really get far. Like, you can't just improve at mechanics or macro ability. In StarCraft 2, you have to realistically improve at both, past a point, which is just difficult. Contrast this to StarCraft 1, where you could get by on mechanics a lot more just alone. StarCraft 2, led by Dustin Broder of Command & Conquer fame, had far more of a focus as a game on macro level plays. While this might sound better and more attractive to casual players, in a sense it's not, because it requires you yet another skill to master, on top of the snowballiness of StarCraft 2 in general. Because resources are so important, if you fail an all-in or fail a rush or just didn't expand fast enough, in some instances you basically auto-lose past a certain rank due to just math and, well, economics. There's a lot less in comeback mechanics in StarCraft 2 as well. Now, some of the reasons for that are unavoidable, like the AI and mechanic codes in StarCraft 1 being so unique to the game and the fact that it was ancient and had a really weird engine, right? Think about the Dragoons and shit. But others were self-inflicted in the case of the design, and even in the case of some of the previous mechanics becoming just more automated. In a strange sense, StarCraft 2 has a very comparable APM requirement to StarCraft 1, especially if you factor in the amount of macro on top of things. StarCraft 1 also has inflated APM numbers because people can do things like select all of their minions and then have to divide their units up due to limits. I'm sort of confused about what the approach with StarCraft 2 was in the end, because they ended up with a game that in many ways is harder than StarCraft 1, and I don't really know if that was the path. Contrast this to Age of Empires as a series and it doesn't really seem to match at all, which, by the way, many StarCraft and Warcraft fans seem to forget about. And not just the newest game, but AoE 2 has a bigger population than probably both StarCrafts combined. And they did it with constant updates, belief in the design, and a thriving, open, competitive scene. Now, one really successful aspect of LOTV as an expansion was the co-op missions. These allowed players to team up and find many novel ways to finish a number of unique missions and tasks. These were, in my opinion, easily the most successful aspect of StarCraft 2 unique creations from the developers, and brought the most players back to the game in my experience, and from testimonies. Activision Blizzard would release some new co-op missions periodically, a few a year between 2015 and 2017, and in many cases it was not just new missions, but also new heroes to choose from. But the biggest tragedy with the co-op missions is that so many players who would love them or love to play them, who played StarCraft 2 or never did, won't ever get the chance because how much of a negative stigma surrounds the game in general. I think the next RTS to leverage co-op missions from the beginning will excel greatly because of this. In a confusing turn of events, at least for me, that stealth ghost game that was teased for decades but cancelled finally came out. I'm just kidding, but sort of. A new mission pack was released March 29th, 2016. For $20, you could play as Nova, a ghost, on a number of missions. While many diehards will defend this mission pack, it basically offered 1/4 the value of an actual expansion for basically the same price. Not to mention, although I think the story is probably better than the base story of the game, I don't think that's exactly saying much. And it doesn't really do much to expand the actual game or plot in any serious ways. According to a couple of sources, Activision Blizzard was finding it difficult to monetize StarCraft 2 in general, especially with basically nobody else following the multiple paid expansion formula anymore. This would probably have a major influence on their next major move. StarCraft 2, 7 years after launch, would go free to play November 2017. This would make the game free to play online, with the single player campaigns having to be purchased separately. The transition would easily inject a major amount of players, new and returning, back to StarCraft 2, me being one of those. Activision Blizzard would also launch the War Chest, which was kind of their version of the Valve Codex or Battle Pass, and this would allow players to assist in funding the competitive scene while also getting some cool unlocks. The first War Chest was so successful it actually contributed $200,000 to BlizzCon. At this point, the competitive scene was in a slightly better spot, but not much better to be honest. Tournaments, teams, and prize pools nearly across the board had dropped, and most of Korea was actually playing StarCraft 1. Reportedly, this change made StarCraft 2 more money than a full expansion and sales did, which sort of tackles another of our major issues. Activision Blizzard almost arrogantly would defy most gaming conventions with StarCraft 2. Most importantly, they felt that they were able to sell a battle chest expansion format previously, and that they could do it again. The problem is that it put a heavy barrier to entry, aka the cost, which in a strange way keeps you from making money off of players who can't make the larger purchases or need to be more bought in to do such. StarCraft and Warcraft literally birthed the MOBA genre, a genre that is entirely free to play, and one that has no paid expansions, which sort of makes it ironic in a sense that MOBAs were able to eclipse RTSs so easily. But when your game already has a high barrier to entry, aka just learning how to play it, maybe had they actually gone free to play early on, at least twice as fast, things could have gone much differently. The final co-op mission would drop June 2018, and I think that this quite clearly shows how little love and content StarCraft 2 would receive from this point on. They were able to coast off of the success of the free-to-play and co-op missions. While the World Championship Series carried on in multiple iterations for over half a decade too, it will come to an end sometime near the end of 2019, to make way for a new tournament series. I saw this though as Activision Blizzard no longer really wanting to be involved in things themselves, probably because it just wasn't as worth it to them anymore. Blizzard would cut a deal for StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 with DreamHack/ESL and create the new ESL Pro Tour for both. Activision Blizzard would offer up nearly $2 million in prize pooling, but as I've stated in my previous Overwatch videos, just throwing money at a prize pool does nothing to solve the epistemic issues. It doesn't bring in any new players, and it does really fuck all to attract most old players. It doesn't build the infrastructure and support that all sports or esports need to succeed. 2021 would have only one update, and although many at the time would blame COVID for the reason, that's not the case, and I'll explain why later. From this point on, StarCraft 2 seems to get put into maintenance mode. The next year, things would ramp up slightly to 3 total updates, but only 2 of them had any substance, and they were actually pitched and designed by the community themselves anyway. And while this is cool and admirable, and I actually like this, and I think it makes sense in an older online game, again, it doesn't do fuck all to really keep the game alive. I mean, Final Fantasy XI, and even an actual RTS like AoE 2 or Age of Empires 2 are like 20 years old and get far more updates and content. The next year, and we were back to just one community balance update, 2024, and we don't have a single update yet, and the year is half over. Now, the ESL Pro League was still running, in a shrunken form than from before, but sadly, StarCraft 2 is nowhere near at its peak, let alone the years after that, and while many of the barely any remaining fans will tell me in the comments, or on Reddit in their echo chambers, what about this oil money/monarchy Middle Eastern washing tournament esports World Cup? But honestly, just go watch Richard Lewis's videos about it and how it basically seems like a vacuum tournament, meaning it seems to pretty much exist in a vacuum, with a super large prize pool out of nowhere and an event that seems to have an over-focus on advertisers over building or supporting the StarCraft 2 scene itself. This doesn't do anything to help the game or support the scene really, except just make a spectacle out of what remains and paying some hungry pros. This is why it doesn't really feel controversial to feature StarCraft 2 in my series. Not only does it qualify as a game that has had a mass exodus and never recovered, it had multiple issues that contributed to the game never reaching the heights that it could have, which is crazy to think about. And finally, StarCraft 2 is and was clearly abandoned by Activision Blizzard, with nearly no major updates in the past 6 years, and only a few updates in the past few. This is a shame, because much like Warcraft 3 was shafted in the Reforged version, which has greatly hurt that game in its scene, which I covered already, so go check it out, StarCraft 2 is arguably doing worse, because as a series it doesn't have the added benefit of being also a massively successful virtual world. The last expansion came out 9 years ago. I know, feels. The future for StarCraft 2 seems pretty much written. But the future for StarCraft as a franchise seems even more bleak, because even though StarCraft 1 had a remaster that did okay, it seemed to do little to persuade Activision Blizzard to do anything more than that. With that music playing, we have gathered enough clues and reached the end of the timeline. That means it's time to crack the case, detectives, and for those who missed it, why did StarCraft 2 fail, and what kept it from reaching even more greatness? Activision Blizzard fumbled the competitive scene, built a more niche game, punishing learning curve, lived in the shadow of the previous title, infrequent updates and support, an outdated business model. Well, it was abandoned. But Nerdslayer, I don't watch your series or videos period, or long enough to learn what they're even about, so how the heck is StarCraft 2, a game that's supported by a megacorp that receives a few updates every 4 years and has an inflated recent tournament edition, dead? Well, death doesn't only have one definition, and if you think that that's me obfuscating or trying to create some other type of narrative, literally learn about words and definitions, guys. Anyway, you're a massive dolt if you don't know that, and you type that shit in the comments especially. Now anyway, don't you think it's a little bit odd that the older StarCraft 1, which is over 24 years old, gets more play than the newer one? Now, this is clearly a personal story to me, but even if it is a personal one, it doesn't mean that I'm going to tell a delusional version of that story. No, StarCraft 2 isn't doing well, and the StarCraft series is not doing well at large either, and I don't really know at this point if we will ever see another StarCraft project, which is pretty sad for me, not gonna lie. That's why it's important for me to tell this story, so people realize it was major blunders that allowed the de facto RTS giant and a lot of complacency to fall so far. It's played less than the 2 games that are 10 years older than it in the same genre. Thanks for watching.
Well, this is a fine mess we've gotten ourselves into.
Guys, I'm gonna end it here. This stream counts as yesterday's stream. I woke up super early for this one. So we're gonna have another stream today after work.